Hey, welcome to my first ever tier list video on this channel. It's exciting. I think one of the main reasons I made this channel is because I wanted to do these things, because I just love to put everything in a nice, beautiful tier list. So yeah, I'm gonna be ranking all the books that I read this year, which were only 22 sci-fi and fantasy books, which is kind of pathetic. My goal was 30 books. And I fell short. And you wanna know why? Because Elden Ring. Elden Ring is why. Damn, that DLC had to come out in the summer. It took all my summer away. I didn't do anything except playing it. So yeah, 22 books. But there's still a lot of good reads here, so I'm excited to rank them. So let me just explain my categories before I start. So we have the first one, which is GOAT, which if you're not a sports person, it means greatest of all time. I thought it was fitting. Usually means like when we call a player like really, 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 really good, like the best, GOAT. So yeah. Then we have great writing, beautiful writing, which is like a play on that meme that is great gowns, beautiful gowns. So yeah, this is for books that I really, really, really enjoyed and I think are great, but not quite the best, but also better than good. Then we have just good vibes, which is just books that I thought were good, like nothing that I will be remembering a lot or just like thinking about a lot, but yeah, good books that I liked, that I had a fun time with and that I enjoyed. And then we have I read this book, which is just books that I don't think are like terrible, but also I just didn't feel anything about them. It's just books that I read and I kind of forgot about it immediately because they didn't do anything for me. And then we have meh, just meh, books that, meh, didn't like them. Alright, starting off we have The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin. And this was the second book of Ursula Le Guin that I ever read. And I really, really, really loved it. It has so much good commentary. Like Ursula is just the best in my opinion at telling a story while providing so much social, political commentary that it's just so interesting to read. She writes so well, and she can say so much in a single line that it always leaves me just stunned, to be honest, sometimes with the stuff she writes. So yeah, I love Ursula and I loved this book so much. It has some great writing. And then this was the first one I read of Ursula Le Guin, which was The Left Hand of Darkness, probably her most famous book other than the Earthsea series, which is a series I'm planning to read next year. And I wish I had read The Dispossessed first, because I think reading The Left Hand of Darkness as an introduction to Le Guin, while it's really, really, really good, it was a little confusing at first. It's hard to get into it, really hard to understand at first. So it took me a while to really get into it. So for that, I'm gonna put it in great writing, beautiful writing, which is still a great category for it because it really fits. Because like I said, with The Dispossessed, Ursula is just the best at writing, in my opinion, that I've read so far. And I'm planning to reread this next year because I think my opinion will change for the better once I read more books of her and reread this one. But yeah, for now I'm gonna leave it here because I like The Dispossessed more and I like other books a lot more. But yeah, it was still a great book. Alright, next one we have Soul Music by Terry Pratchett from his Discworld series, and I read 3 Discworld books this year, and they're all from the Death series. And Soul Music, the Death series is like, I was really interested in reading it because I just love the Grim Reaper as a character, and it sounded so interesting how he's written in these books. And I read Mort last year and I absolutely loved it, so I was very excited for the rest of this series of his. And unfortunately the other books were not as good in my opinion, and Soul Music was like the worst of them. I thought the plot was kind of dumb. It has some good moments, but Yeah, I didn't really like it. My big problem with this series, with the Death series, is that I read it because I wanted to read about Death, the character, and he's barely in these books. Like, yes, everything that happens is because of him, but he's really absent for most of them, and I just lose interest because it's supposed to be his series, and he's not in it a lot, and that unfortunately really brings down my enjoyment. But yeah, soul music was kind of meh. I didn't really like it, except of course when Death is around, and also I love his scenes with his granddaughter Susan. So yeah. And then the same thing for Reaper Man by Terry Pratchett. This is book 2 on the Dev series, and Soul Music is book 3, by the way. And I like Reaper Man more than Soul Music, so I'm gonna put it here in I read this book, but it has the same issues that Soul Music has, in my opinion, but it's a little bit better. I thought the plot of Death just being on a farm working for this old lady was really funny, and I just wish there was more of that, because if there were, it would have been higher. Like, I would read an entire book just of Death being a silly guy. But yeah, unfortunately he's not in it that much. And then Hogfather, which I just finished. Thankfully it's a lot better, and it's really charming, and it's about Death having to basically do the job of the Santa Claus of this world, which is Hogfather, because Hogfather is not available. So Death spends the night giving children their gifts and stuff, and there's this plot around it, and Susan is there again, his granddaughter, and it's great. I really, really enjoyed it, and I had such a good time. So yeah, Hogfather was great writing, beautiful writing, because it has some beautiful writing, to be honest, about the meaning of Christmas and what Death thinks about it all, because the Death, like, his main thing in this series is that, one, he hates his job, which is so relatable, and he's always having an existential crisis in every book. And he wants to understand humans, and he can't, and this was just another example of that, and it was really, really well done compared to these two, in my opinion. I really liked it, and it was the perfect time to read it because it's Christmas tomorrow. Happy holidays, by the way. So yeah, I really liked it. I could see myself rereading this like every year around this time. It's just so much fun. Okay, next one, Dead House Gates, the book 2 of Malazan. And I started Malazan this year, and I absolutely love it so much. Dead House Gates is my favorite book that I read this year, without a doubt. And I can't wait to continue this series. And when I started it, I really wanted a epic fantasy series that would just consume my brain, and this delivered. It has everything that I want. And Gardens of the Moon, which is next. Oh, I'm messing around here with some stuff, I don't know. Gardens of the Moon, which was next, I can put it here as well because I love them both. I like Dead House Gates more, but Gardens of the Moon is also excellent. I'm so obsessed with this series already. I can't wait to continue reading it. Is everything I wanted right now. It's like almost grim dark, but I don't think it's quite there yet. Maybe we'll get there later. Right now it's just dark fantasy, but it has so many great characters. It's huge. Both the world and the books themselves have a lot of words. And I love it so much. It has everything I wanted. It has magic, gods, soldiers, so many characters. It's great. Love it. Next one, 2010 Odyssey 2 by Arthur C. Clarke. So 2001 A Space Odyssey, it's like one of my favorite sci-fi books right now at this point. The movie is also my favorite movie of all time, at least when it comes to sci-fi and just being a little pretentious. And so I decided to try to read the sequel. I heard that it was not as good, and so, you know, my expectations weren't that high going into it, but I really, really liked it. I thought it was a great sequel. I mean, it's not as good as 2001, but it was still really good. It has some of the same themes, and it like continues on from where the other one finished, so we got to learn a lot more about what's the deal with the monolith and the space child, and, you know, HAL 9000 and all that. So I I really liked it. And then I watched the movie because there's also a movie about it, and the movie sucked. But the book is good. I liked it. I might read. There's two other books in this series that I heard are even worse, but I like this one, so I might try the other two. Maybe I'll like them. Then we have right. So all the books that I have are sci-fi and fantasy, which is what I read. But this is actually a non-fiction book, and it's like a autobiography slash self-help book written by my favorite WNBA player, Asia Wilson, and it's called Dear Black Girls: How to Be Truly You. But this is a great book for everyone to read, not just black girls. And I personally really enjoyed it, not just because I'm a fan of her as a player, but also as a person. I think she's so great, and I really liked reading this book. I don't know how to rank it because it's not, it's hard to compare it to everything else. But I mean, I gave it 5 stars because I just had such a good time reading it. Yeah, and you know what? Yeah, because GOAT, like, this is already sports related, and she is the GOAT. Don't you doubt it. She is the GOAT of the WNBA. She's the best player in the world. So yeah, this makes total sense actually. No problem. All right, next. We have, I forgot about this. We have The Final Empire from Brandon Sanderson. Yeah. Since I started reading more, I kept hearing about how Brandon Sanderson was like the king of fantasy, and he's so popular and everyone loves him, and his books are amazing, and you have to read them. That's all I kept hearing. So of course I was really excited because I love epic fantasies, I love big books, and I love all that. So I picked up Mistborn, the first book, The Final Empire, and I you know what, these categories don't work for me for this one. Hold on, sorry about that. What do I call this? This is oh, I know. So, if you've read this book, which you probably have because it's so popular, and if you've reread it and if you remember anything about it, then you probably know why I'm doing this here. Oh my god. My screen is too big now. Hold on. Okay. I don't want to say too much because I feel bad knowing that so many people love this, and then I don't want to be like bashing on it because everyone has their own opinion, and if it's popular then it's popular, and then that's it. But yeah, I was really shocked because I thought I was gonna love this, and then I started reading it because I was promised like an epic fantasy with an amazing story and a great writer, a great author and stuff, and I thought it was terrible. The writing was so, I don't want to say bad because there's stuff here that's probably not that bad, but if you know what this is, like the way he writes, like surely there are other ways to say Kelsier smiled and that Vin frowned. Oh, I left this with an uppercase. Hold on. This was everywhere in the book, and I just like, this is just the way he writes, and I'm like, what? There's gotta be another way to keep saying that a character is smiling than just saying he smiled and she frowned. Like, that was one of, like, the writing was just not for me, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, I don't want to say too much more because, like I said, I don't want to be overly negative about something that other people love so much. I just don't feel that I should, but I don't know. It wasn't just the writing as well. Like, I didn't like how there was only one female character, and like the way she was written was just so and yeah, I didn't even finish it. I DNF'd it around the time where they go to this ball or party, I guess, and then she meets that other dude, and she immediately falls in love with him, and he's like at the ball, but he's reading a book because he's not like the other guys, you know? I'm like, shut up. This is not what I was promised when people were recommending this to me. I was promised an epic fantasy, or at least just a fantasy really good story with Mistborn. I guess epic fantasy is more for the Stormlight archives or whatever. But yeah, I could go on and on, but anyway, yeah, that's it. Alright, next I have another Arthur C. Clarke book, Rendezvous with Rama. This book is like considered one of the best ones by Arthur C. Clarke, and I liked it. I didn't think it was like as great as I thought it was gonna be based on everyone's opinion on it, but I had a good time with it. I guess I just didn't really see what other people saw to make it so great, but I liked it. It was good. And Arthur C. Clarke, it's not about the characters, it's like the story and the ideas, and I just never got that into it to make it a great book for me, but it was a fun time. I liked the little story about this alien station that it's being explored and stuff. It was fine. Alright, next one, Children of Time. Children of Time is also a book that everyone talks really, really, really well about it, and I was very excited to read it because I love a good sci-fi story like this set in space. And I really liked it. Not as much as I thought I would. Again, I had like the same feelings I had with Rendezvous with Rama. Some of it was like really good, like the ideas and like all the stuff about this virus that infects the spiders on that planet and how they evolve. All the stuff with the spiders was like really, really interesting, and I loved reading it, which is saying something because I have arachnophobia. I cannot see a spider, and to be honest, this book almost healed me because the spiders in this book are like really, really sympathetic and I was on their side the whole time, which I can say the same for the humans because the human characters were just so boring, and that's why this book is ranked a little lower than it could have been, because I really didn't care about the humans. I cared about the spiders, which is crazy to say. So that's why it's just good vibes, but I still really enjoyed it, but not enough to like, because I know there's like other books, so I enjoyed it, but not enough to continue reading this trilogy. But yeah, as a standalone book, it's good. Next one, we have the Ballad of Black Tom. This is a novella that is a retelling of one of Lovecraft's stories. I can't remember the original name right now. I know it's something to do with Red Hook, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And this is a retelling written by Victor Laval, and I just really, really, really liked it. I'm really into cosmic horror, but I haven't read Lovecraft yet because I have complicated feelings about him considering his history and his views, but I still want to read them just to have the idea about how it all started with the cosmic horror. But this retelling is like really, really good, and I really enjoyed how Victor Laval twisted the ideas that Lovecraft had into his own story. Yeah, I had a great time with this novella, just really good. Actually, I liked it better than Hawkfather, so I'm gonna leave it here. Alright, next we have Head of the Knife. The Locked Tomb series is like really beloved by a lot of people, like really, really, really beloved. I like it. I'm not obsessed about it like a lot of people are, probably because it's just not my thing, the way it combines like two extremes. I mean, like it's either like really, really humoristic to the point of like satire, and then it has the other opposite end of being like really depressing and, you know, dealing with a lot of heavy themes and stuff and being full of violence and gore. And these two things combined just don't work for me that well. I guess I really like either like really dark stuff or just really silly stuff, but the two combined don't work for me as well. And also, I had some problems with the story because like this is a really confusing book for most of it. At the end, it does get everything does get explained, but it really brought down my enjoyment, like how confusing everything was for a lot of it. And yeah, I mean, I like the characters a lot. It's just, it was good. It was good. Okay, next one. The Priory of the Orange Tree. I read this book early in the year, and I'm still thinking about it sometimes because I really, really loved it. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can put it up here because I did have some issues with it, just one issue. The pacing of this book in the second half is just like bad. So I'm gonna put it like right here, top of this category, because like this is a 800 page book, which to many people that's like huge. To me, like the first half was like so brilliant, like it was paced really well, that like there was time to connect with the characters while providing exciting moments and just getting the plot to flow really well. And then the second half, it was so rushed, like to the point where it broke my immersion in the story, because some things were happening like so fast. At one point, the main character travels, I'm assuming, like from one side of the world to the other in 2 pages, which is just insane to me, because in the first half that was not established at all, that it would be so fast. So to have just 2 pages do that, I was like, what is happening here? And it just kept going like that until the end. So unfortunately for that, I have to put it a little lower than the top category, but I still really, really, really love this book. And I want to read A Day of Fallen Night next year. I love Samantha Shannon's writing. I just wish the pacing was a little better. Alright, next one, The Shadow Saint. This is an underrated series, fantasy series that I don't think many people talk about. The first book is called The Gutter Prayer, and this is the second book, and I really, really love it. I'm gonna put it like, yeah, I like it better than Ballad of Soap. Yeah, right here. I think I have the third book to read yet, and I think I want to do a video about this series just to try to bring more attention to it, because it's so good and I don't see a lot of people talking about it. But it's basically set in this Victorian style city, and we follow 3 characters, like they're like thieves, and one of them has this power that she can like get messages from the gods, basically. I don't know how to explain it because it's been a while since I read the first book, so I'm forgetting like details, but like there's magic, there's like knights, there's these weird figures that enforce the law. They're like Candlemen. It's really weird and it's really great, and it has some like touches of cosmic horror as well, which I always love. And yeah, it's just a great series, and I want to read the third book next year, and then maybe I'll do a video about it. And then we have Gideon, and my thoughts on Gideon are similar to Hero the Knife, but I like Gideon a little better. I don't know, I mean, this is a good series. I guess it's just not really for me, and that's fine, you know. It's just like the humor, like if it's like situational humor, like stuff that happens in the story that's just like in context, it's really funny. But when it's like meme references, it really takes me out of the story, and I don't like it. And I know people really like that stuff and figure out what memes are in there, but I didn't like that at all. It happens less in Hero the Knife, but Gideon is just full of it, and I was always rolling my eyes. It's not that I don't love funny things, I swear I do, but I guess for this type of story it just doesn't work for me. Alright, next we have This Is How You Lose the Time War. This book, it's really funny how people talk about this book, because no one explains what it is about because they can't explain it. But you always hear people saying, please, please, please read this book. And you know what? I'm one of those people. I can't explain it, but you need to read this book. It's so good. It was heartwarming and also really weird, and also it broke my heart into a million pieces, and it's really romantic. and then my heart, like I said, was broken, and then it got mended back together again, and by the end I didn't know what to do with myself, and that's all I can say to describe it. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of my favorite books now. Love it. Wow, this is like, you know, you can say I'm a hater, except for this, like, oh, I forgot to change the color. Hold on. You can't say I'm a hater, because, like, I like what I read. Alright, next we have The Jasmine Throne. This book was a disappointment, to be honest. I thought I was gonna really, really like it from what I had heard and, like, from reading the synopsis. And while I think the writing is good, the story and the way it's told was just not that great. I like the characters, like the two main girls. I was really attached to them, but not enough to even want to continue this series after I finished it. So I'm gonna put it here. I just read it. I don't think it's bad, but also I had a lot of issues with it. Mainly, like, there are so many POVs in this book, and I don't mind multiple POVs if it's in, like, a big world. Like, for example, in Malazan, there has to be a lot of POVs because it's a huge world with a lot of stories to tell throughout a huge world, right? And the Jasmine Throne, it's all happening in one city during one specific time and event. And then we have, like, all these different POVs from chapter to chapter, and sometimes the characters are just like, one character is inside the building and then another is outside, and we have a POV of that character in the building and then another POV from the character outside, and I was just like, why do we need so many POVs for this? And yeah, because of that, I couldn't get into it, unfortunately. Alright, next we have The Unbroken. The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. When I started reading it, I was unsure. I was liking it, but I wasn't really sure if I was gonna, like, really enjoy it by the end. But then when I got to, like, 50% of it, I started getting really into it and into the characters and everything that was happening. So yeah, I really liked it by the end. I got really into the characters, especially the two main girls, Tereni and Luca, and this became, like, my guilty pleasure series. But I mean, I don't like calling it my guilty pleasure, because there's, like, guilty pleasure, it's usually when something is bad but you like it anyway just because it's fun and you like the characters and the ships and whatnot. But this is actually really good, has a great story and really good writing and themes of colonialism and stuff, so it is good. But it's also my guilty pleasure because I have The Faithless here, and this is the second book, the sequel, and I read The Faithless in 2 days, and it's like 500 pages, which is insane for me. I was so into it because of, I mean, you know, I get it now, you know, all those girls on BookTube that just read a lot of romantasy and stuff, you know, I get it. When I read this, now I understand, because sometimes you just want to read it for that guilty pleasure of liking a romantic pairing, and that's what happened to me here. But I do think they're really good despite that. But yeah, that's why it's ranked so high for me. And The Faithless was, like, crazy. Let me put it just, yeah. I really like this series and I can't wait for the third book. And yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about it, but that's the extent of it for now. Alright, finally we have These Burning Stars, and I was disappointed with this book. I thought I was gonna really enjoy it because it's like this sci-fi, almost space opera-like book, and actually, I don't know, I might, yeah, I'm gonna put it here because it just didn't work for me. I didn't care about the characters, I couldn't really connect with them, and, like, the villain, like, I get what the author was going for with her, but she was so comically evil. Like, there was no substance to her, no subtlety, no nothing. She was just really evil all the time, and that's not very interesting to me. And there's, like, also a plot twist by the end that I was just like, oh, okay, is that how we're doing this? Okay. So yeah, overall I didn't really enjoy These Burning Stars, unfortunately. But yeah, these were the 22 books that I read this year. Hopefully next year I'll have a lot more of them read than this year, but there's also going to be another Elden Ring game next year, so we'll see what happens with that. Thank you for watching this, and I hope you had fun.